some love! If you want the Rock Raiders ass to this ring, give me a hell yeah! Oh, we got a special edition of Squared Circle Insider Wrestling this week. I'm WB Ward.
And I'm Chip Douglas.
Oh, man, I'm excited.
Oh, you're excited? I'm excited.
I am all a flitter. I am all a flitter.
My heart is a putt-putt right now.
Well, and I know we're getting ready to interview somebody whom you listen to on the radio a lot, and it's a lot of people here in northeastern Oklahoma probably also listen to him. You want to mention who it is, or
we're going to interview Mr. Chris Plank himself.
Yep. Chris Plank from
1430 The Buzz. He's one of the hosts of the big show here locally, which is a local sports station. So for those fans out there that are sports fans, he's going to be on the show to talk a little bit wrestling with us.
You know, he's the big kahuna over there.
Is he?
Yep. He's the big kahuna.
Wow.
He used to work for me.
So, is that truth?
No.
Or is that consequence?
Oh, man, is that not true? Oh, man, is that not true?
So he's the man that can make things happen.
Well, he can. I mean, Chris is a nice guy.
Oh, okay.
Chris is a nice guy.
Hey, he's nice enough to come on the show.
Yes. I've known Chris for like the last, at least the last 12 or 13 years.
Oh, cool.
And we worked at a couple of places together. So he's had to follow in my footsteps a few times.
Well, anyway, you're older, so.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to ask him about that because I don't know who's older between him and I.
You are.
Well, now don't be so certain.
I saw him play dodgeball.
He's got that baby face thing going on.
He does. He does have the baby face.
But it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, I've heard through the rumor that he finally started shaving not too long ago, but he could still be older than me.
We'll see.
It could be. Okay, first off, back into the world of wrestling. Let's go ahead and get on with our weekly social media.
Yeah, social media, yep. SCI_wrestling, which is our Twitter.
That's our Twitter.
Please go follow us.
Okay.
YouTube, Squared Circle Insider Wrestling, and also our Facebook page. I'm sorry, YouTube is SCI Wrestling, Facebook is Squared Circle Insider Wrestling.
Yeah, let's keep that straight.
Please go follow us.
You know, the easiest thing I think is to go to facebook.com/Squared Circle.
Yeah.
Because then you can see the videos or listen to the show and click on to get the rest of the stuff because we'll have the names of the links right there on the video thing.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the social media, do you have a tweet of the week selected?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, well, of course I do.
You know, I dug around a little bit in the music vault.
Okay.
And I found you a theme song for tweet of the week.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
The tweet of the week is brought to you by Mr. Chip Douglas himself.
Yep.
It comes from Cranky Vince, and Cranky Vince says, "That's not thunder. That's my nuts hitting the ground."
I'd be cranky too. Oh, man. That's not thunder. That's my nuts hitting the ground.
That's my nuts hitting the ground.
Yeah, there's a guy you want to take home to meet Mama.
We just dropped a follower. What the heck?
What?
After I just read that tweet, we went from 63 to 62. Oh, come on, people.
No, that's just one of the nuts falling off.
Oh, okay. Let me make sure. Good call.
Okay, tell you what. We're going to do I'm doing a little equalization here on the old Mr. Microphone. Okay, now we're going to bring him aboard here. Are you ready, Mr. Chip?
Oh, hell yeah, I am.
This is almost like deja vu, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It feels like it.
It does feel like deja vu. All the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Christopher Plank. How's it going, man?
Guys, it's going great. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Just enjoying some of this nice weather we're actually getting today in Oklahoma. We're getting a little bit of a break, and I'm getting ready to head down to Norman tomorrow as my dogs go crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm getting ready to head down to Norman tomorrow to watch the Sooners play Tulsa and spend some time with newly retired Jim Ross. So love talking about a little wrestling.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Mr. JR here in just a few moments. Say howdy to Mr. Chip Douglas behind me over there.
Chip, how's it going, man?
I am doing well, but I do have a question for you, though.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Because I do listen to the show, and I know that you are a diehard Raider fan.
Yes,
and I am too.
Oh, there we go.
So, do we have a chance this week?
Oh, I think we'll beat Jacksonville. I think we'll beat Jacksonville this week. And now, Now that confidence can quickly dissipate if we go out and turn the ball over about 3 or 4 times.
Exactly.
But from someone who's been long suffering, from someone who is much like you, Chip, who has basically spent their time wishing we would get the quarterback, wishing that we would have a defense, wishing that we'd have a head coach. I feel really good about this team. I don't think we're going to go to the playoffs, but I think they're going to be in some games. I think they're going to play close, and I think they're going to be fun to watch this year. Remember the name Terrell Pryor? Remember the name Michael Rivera, our tight end? I think those are going to be 2 guys that will have really big seasons, and hopefully we're not picking number 1 in the draft when it rolls around in April. That's my only goal. I don't want to have the number 1 pick this year. I want to be picking about 10th or 11th. I hope they have a good season, but they're fun to watch, man. They played well in their opener. I think they'll be fun to follow throughout the year.
That's what I was getting ready to say. We played well against Indianapolis, so I have high hopes for this week.
And
I was just having a conversation with my wife because we've been debating. I didn't get the Sunday ticket this year just over concerns. Well, every year, one of the cool things the NFL does is you get the first week for free.
Yep.
And so after watching them last week, I'm now starting my sales pitch to my wife over the weekend to make sure that we can get it back again, because I think it might be worth watching them this year.
I did the same thing.
It's like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my sales pitch now to try to do whatever I can to make sure that I can get that thing back. But no, I was happy. I was fired up. I thought it was really good to see them be competitive this past week.
Agree.
So, Chip, we're long suffering, but hopefully we have happiness coming our way soon.
Future's bright.
And you know what, gentlemen? The good news here is with their Oklahoma connection through Mr. Chris Plank. If the Raiders are having a down day, all they have to do is take a little trip over to Stillwater, and they can get some performance enhancing things there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
On some of the alleged reports that are out there, you're right. It wouldn't take much to get some help.
Well, I suppose with all the stuff that has been going in the wonderful wide world of sports, if you'll forgive the blatant copyright infringement, you're probably ready to about take a break from all that madness and talk about the serious sport of professional wrestling.
Yes.
Absolutely. The only real sport that's left, in my opinion.
I think so. Okay, what in the world happened to Jim Ross?
I don't know. Jim's a straight shooter, so I'm excited to talk to him and get his side of the story. Here's what I'll say is I've read the rumors. I've seen the different reports out there. There has been some that feel like there was some lingering frustration from Vince McMahon and WWE from a SummerSlam incident involving maybe Ric Flair getting a little bit out of control during a Q&A session,
Yeah.
but the sponsors came away loving it. We have several wrestling fans in the building where we work, and so immediately as soon as that came out on Twitter on September the 11th, my phone blew up. And my only response was, man, I really hope Jim got to make this decision. I really hope this was something that JR, he got to make the decision, and this was the time when he wanted to hang him up, because if there's one thing that I've known from the time I've spent around him now, 3 years doing OU sidelines and him being at every single game, is he's incredibly passionate about 2 things: his Oklahoma Sooners and wrestling, and in that, the role that he played in WWE. I mean, I go back to week 1, and he had flown from an overseas WWE responsibility to be at OU's Open. I mean, I think he came from Amsterdam, just in order to get to Norman in time for a kickoff. So I hope it was his call, and that's kind of just from a lack of really understanding it. That's where I say, I mean, he's still one of the best in my mind. I know he wasn't doing a lot of commentary, but how respected is the guy? I mean, when Undertaker took on Triple H 2 years ago, the first time they fought in WrestleMania, first time they put on a show at WrestleMania, Undertaker requested that JR call the match. So, I mean, that kind of shows you just how much respect he still has in that locker room. So, I guess, I'll go into this whole retirement hoping that JR had finally said, hey, man, flying from Amsterdam to Norman to cover or watch my Sooners play, enough. I'm going to kick back and enjoy my barbecue sauce and my jerky and spend some time with the family. So.
One thing that stood out to me as a glaring thing from the WWE website is what I didn't see. Now, I did notice the announcement of JR's retirement earlier this week on WWE.com, but noticeably, there's absolutely no mention of his retirement whatsoever on the WWE corporate website, and I expected full-heartedly to see something like "We wish him well in his future endeavors," but there's nothing mentioned there, and I'm wondering what is the possibility about this whole thing just simply being part of a storyline.
You know what? I think that would be really cool. But if, here's one thing that I'd be curious to bounce off of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you think, in just following the way that some of the storylines have gone recently, how many times do you think now that they've got enough people that are tech savvy and respect those that have a passion for the sport on the web, how many times do you think they monitor stuff like that? The rumors that Ric Flair had put Jim Ross in a tough spot, and thus the WWE was looking at firing him. How often do you think they monitor stuff like that, and maybe they kind of, I don't want to say take all of their cues, but they see a storyline like that, they realize that they have a still very popular but maybe underused resource in JR, and think, boy, what a way to get him back involved, maybe kind of with an outside faction and bring some young talent in, and he's their manager, to where he hadn't retired, he was forced into retirement, and you could build a whole new storyline. I think that'd be awesome if that was exactly the case. If so, he's doing a good job of playing along on Twitter right now, I think. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely. He's playing along with Twitter, and what you bring up was with WB fallen online rumors. Did you ever hear about the Reddit incident?
Yep. They had the insider that was breaking all the news to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect example of it, because at SummerSlam, WB and I were watching SummerSlam live, and I was following Reddit religiously, and he was not able to call some of the matches. And so that has to tell me that they are following some kind of online rumors, because of the fact that he wasn't able to call all the matches compared to past pay-per-views that he's been able to call every single match, even before the pay-per-views even started.
Yeah, and I don't think, if they were trying to sniff out a rat, I'm going to tell you right now that would be, I think, a fairly easy process to vet through. But I had caught on to that storyline. I thought that was really interesting, how so many stories and so many storylines and so many finishes had actually been, basically called for quite a while.
Oh yeah, 6 months, I think.
Yeah, wow. That's a long time. So, trust me, JR wasn't a leak on that front. I can almost guarantee you that. But, it does make you wonder. It's like, okay, so what, are they trying to do some things to throw curveballs to the online audience, maybe even more so just, in themselves? Yeah, but let's be honest, if JR had decided that this wasn't a storyline and he was done, we all get it, right? He's been doing this for a long time. He's spent 40-plus years on the road, so maybe it's time to just sit back and relax a little bit. But the Jim Ross I know is a workaholic, and I think it'd be hard for him to just say adios.
Well, I can't say that I know Jim as well as you do. I have had the pleasure, though, of meeting him and talking with him on a couple of occasions, even though if you, Chris, to be honest with you, if you were to say, hey, I talked with Billy the other day, the only two words that JR is going to say is, Billy who?
Billy Gunn?
Yeah, he wouldn't know me from Adam, because when we talked, it was like years and years ago. One time when he was refereeing a basketball game in, oh gosh, where was that? Warner, Oklahoma, I think it was.
Yep.
And then many years later on, when they were doing a SmackDown here in Tulsa, I was working the show, and I got to talk with him backstage a little bit before the show started. So he's not going to know me from Adam other than that, and I'm sure I didn't leave that big of an impression. But that being said, I can really echo what you just said. Just in the little times that I talked with him, that guy is dedicated to anything he does to the nth degree. He is just he truly is a company man.
I like him. I still like the passion that he has. So if and again, if this is a storyline, well played. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there is one that this is like Mike Grinch, I don't think we have enough stables that have been tried to be built up recently, and I think we've started to see it with Jack Swagger's manager and what they're trying to do on that front. I think that in a roundabout way, you're starting to see affection grow with what Paul Heyman's doing and kind of building, his people and putting his people with him. Mm-hmm. I think you're seeing it now with Triple H and what they're doing with Randy Orton. I think that you really kind of lack that true face, if you will, stable. And I think you've got great people. CM Punk has become the star. He's out there on his own, so I think he'd be great on that front. But what a great storyline that you would have is, hey, they're trying to go with this new guard. They're running me off. Here I come. I'm bringing my stable of young guys. We're going to take back over the WWE and do it right. But, again, that's maybe pie in the sky and hoping and thinking right now. And if it is an angle, I don't think that's something that we'll be able to get out of him. But I just hope that if this is adios, if this is retirement, I hope Jim got to make that decision. I hope good old JR was the guy that got to say, hey, Vince, I'm done. And I hope it wasn't one of those situations where it's like, hey, you're done now. That's my hope.
Right. Now, taking back both of you gentlemen back a number of years, specifically back to April 4th, 1993, the scene, of course, was Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, WrestleMania number 9, where they were doing one of their rare outdoor WrestleManias, outdoor meaning anything other than a football arena. Do you recall his debut, Mr. Chris?
I do. I do recall it. I try to steal my laptop so I can remember everything about the card. But then, you're talking about during the heyday of being a wrestling fan. There were some great angles that were taking place. And if I recall, weren't they carrying people to the ring? I mean, wasn't that kind of one of the gimmicks at that WrestleMania?
As a matter of fact, I'm so glad you asked, because one of the things, one of the first people that JR introduced it. Well, let me pose it to both of you as a trivia question.
Ooh.
I'll start with you, Chris. Who, as you recall, who was the very first WWE superstar that JR introduced into the ring when he first started with WWE?
Oh, Chip, I don't know, Chip. What do you think, man? I want to go with someone like Kerry Von Erich just because of the tie that you would have with the Southern roots, and I don't think Dr. Death was active in wrestling at that time, so, I don't know.
Okay, so you're going to go with Mr. Von Erich.
I'll go with Kerry Von Erich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Chip, what about you? Who would you say?
I'm going to, just because I remember this. I remember seeing this. I remember seeing Bobby Brain Heenan coming out very first on a camel backwards.
Okay,
and so that's my guess.
So your vote is
Bobby the Brain.
Bobby the Brain,
yeah.
And then Mr. Chris, you're going to go for Mr. Von Erich.
Kerry Von Erich, yeah.
Okay, now in the world of democracy, do I have a vote in this at all?
Sure. Wait, no, you know.
You know who it is.
Well, that's kind of beside the point. Of course I know. That's the only way I'm going to hedge my bet. That's the way I like to bet in Vegas. That's
know the odds ahead of time.
You look at the hold card and you just go from there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I like it.
Let's go ahead and roll that footage here.
My very first WrestleMania, first time that yours truly from the great state of Oklahoma has ever been in a toga myself. This is quite an impressive outfit, and I too can really get used to this. What do you think of these gold shoes? How will those play in Tulsa? What a day! My first day to meet a Centurion, and this guy is in great shape, which is a smile, because we're going to have a great time.
May I present to you Macho Man Randy Savage!
What an ovation for the one and only Macho Man Randy Savage.
There we go, the first one that JR ever introduced.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Now,
How can I not think of that? I'm so proud of myself right now.
Now, in all fairness to Chip, the very next person out of the shoot back there was indeed Bobby the Brain Heenan, and he was coming in backwards on a camel.
There's my credit.
And was Von Erich even on the card? I don't recall that.
You know what? He might have still been in Texas wrestling. I was just trying to go like with the Texas tie, or knowing he was a Southern wrestler. I probably had a reach with a Texas Tornado. Heck, I hope he was still alive in '93.
Tell me, you're right.
Oh man, that would been horrible.
Tell me something, Chris.
Yes.
I think JR might have a record, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here or not on this regard, but I think JR, to the best of my knowledge, is the only human being ever to go into a performance anywhere in the state of Texas and have the Boomer Sooner theme play and get a standing ovation.
I think you might be right on that front, and he never shies away from it. That's the great thing about it is he's never one of those guys that we're in Texas, we might not want to go with Boomer Sooner. He's going to play it, and he's going to play it proud. So that's the great thing about him, man. Is he's not just a great ambassador for wrestling, and he's not just from the time I spent around him, not a ton, but enough to where I think we sit and have conversations on a Saturday daily basis, I guess is the best way to look at it. He's a great ambassador for the state that I call home, and I didn't grow up in Oklahoma. I moved here when I was 18, and I'm 38 now, so I've spent all of my adult life here, and he's the one guy that, most people when they say Oklahoma, they think, Sooners. Now they're starting to get to where they think Thunder. But when you talk about individuals from Oklahoma, JR is usually one of the first one that people can think of. And guys, I see it firsthand, man. You go to these football games and you're at away games, and when Jim Ross is standing down there on the field, there's a lot of times where that's the one person the opposing players want to go over and shake the hand of because they grew up watching him, and they know from WWE, so it's really cool.
Absolutely. Chris, I got to tell you, man, this has just been absolutely awesome. Are you going to have Chip and I over to serve us some of that strong Clear Channel coffee?
It's not as strong since you've been gone.
Oh, that's
I'm just
true.
telling you right now. Nobody makes it like WB did, man. That's just all I got to say. That's it's kind of funny too, because in the computer system we still have. There's things that are in there that still say "Loaded with Love" by Billy Williams, which was the radio name at the time, and it's so cool to see that. I'm glad you guys are doing this.
I can't believe that. I am the Dingleberry of the studios. That's great to know the legacy lives on. Well, Chris, hey man, thanks so much for stopping by. We're going to have you on again sometime. Let's have you on as the we'll book you now for the WrestleMania preview. As Chip and I have been invited to WrestleMania, so we're going to be going down there and representing.
Oh, awesome!
We're going to be representing.
Have me on, man. I'd love to talk about it. My kid has got me back into the up-to-date and the current storyline, so I just don't have to sit around and talk about when the Iron Sheik used to attack Hulk Hogan or when the missing link used to scare me as a kid. So it's all good.
Awesome.
You take care of yourself, sir.
Thanks, guys.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Time starts now. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat? Where can you find the answers to these questions?
Car crashes are one of the leading killers of U.S. children. Many of those deaths could be prevented by making sure that kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
If you enjoy Ward's Daily Almanac on the radio, chances are you'd love Ward's Daily Almanac in book form. Now, WB is working on this, but needs your help. To donate, search for Ward's Daily Almanac on Kickstarter.com or go to WBWard.com and click on the word Kickstarter. There you can watch a video about the project and learn about great rewards for giving. That's Kickstarter.com and search for Ward's Daily Almanac or WBWard.com and click Kickstarter.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
With the cowbell?
I'm sorry, do what?
Is that you with the cowbell?
Yes, I was just going to say what a marvelous, marvelous rhythm section in the background there.
Oh, sounds so beautiful.
I still say they should mix this in with the with their theme for the Wyatts because it's just cool.
Or just have you on the side of the stage, mic'd up with a cowbell.
That is kind of cool.
Exactly.
But why the hell are we playing this? They're not in the Night of Champions.
And why is that?
Because I'm on the cowbell. That's why. No, and actually, I wanted to play this almost in protest of them not being on the Night of Champions.
Because they should be.
How in the world can they miss that?
Because they're so hot right now. The fact that they are able to get all this momentum going into each and every show, as soon as those lights turn out, they get a pop. How can you not feature them on the pay-per-view?
Yeah. One thing, when we were talking with Chris a while ago, And I wanted to bring this up because we were mentioning about the Night of Champions and whether or not JR would even play back into this, whether the JR retirement actually is a storyline or not. Let me present you with a theory. And this goes back to my beard versus smooth face argument.
Here we go.
Okay. I'm going to amend my earlier prediction that eventually he's going to have a match where he could lose the beard and then he becomes the champion.
Okay.
What I'm going to further postulate that at some point he's going to actually win the championship only to have the match turned over. Okay?
Who, Daniel Bryan?
Yep.
Okay.
He's going to win the championship, but Vince or Triple H or Stephanie or somebody is coming out and they're going to stop the match and proclaim the decision to be reversed. The only way they change it back to Bryant is if he agrees to shave the beard.
So is that your Night of Champions prediction?
I don't know if it'll happen on Night of Champions. It could. Only if Bryant wins.
Okay.
Only if Bryant wins. Now, how does JR work into this? I think I could see JR possibly so-called coming to the rescue as part of the storyline. And telling Vince that he's full of crap or whatever. If his retirement is a storyline.
If it is a storyline, I see it playing out on Raw, not the pay-per-view.
Okay. I can buy that idea.
Just because the fact that more exposure.
I am completely used to you being an idiot, so I can buy into that.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you.
What are friends for?
Underneath the bus.
Okay. Let's get on with our serious though predictions because we're really living in fantasy land here because we are out on a limb.
We're playing writers here.
Yeah, pretty much. Now going back to the real thing. Primetime players versus the real Americans. How do you see this coming out?
Well, now there's more than that.
Okay.
Because it's a kind of like a gauntlet tag team match. So you have the primetime players, real Americans, Usos, 3-man band, and tons of fun.
You see, you and I are already disagreeing. Because you notice I didn't even include those other two.
Oh, you didn't? So you think it's going to automatically come down to those two?
Yep.
Okay.
But which direction were you going?
Well, I actually do somewhat agree with you. I think it's a guarantee that it's going to be the primetime players coming out of it.
Yes.
And I guess the way they're building this is the winner of this match is going to face the Shield on the pay-per-view.
I believe so.
And so I definitely see it being the primetime players win this gauntlet match. And I do agree with you. I think it's going to come down to them and the Real Americans. Real Americans or the Usos. I can see the Usos floating in there as well. And then one of them two facing the Shield. Now, because of our past episode, where they're building a certain superstar who happens to be on the primetime players, I could see this be the title change.
Okay.
I see the primetime players walking out of Night of Champions as the tag team champions.
Okay. I'm in total agreement with you on that. I'm in total agreement for a different reason though.
Okay.
Because looking at it from a storyline and for the business aspect, who would you rather see go up against the Shield as far as the ability to sell tickets and really do a push? The Real Americans or primetime players? It's got to be the primetime players because nobody's going to want to back the Real Americans.
Exactly.
So just from that aspect, I have to agree with you. We got to the same city. We just got there on a different road. Okay. Now the next prediction I want to try to hit on is my 4 favorite subjects.
What's that?
AJ and Natalia.
Wait, 4?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, you got it.
I got you.
I'm just trying to keep you abreast of what I'm thinking of here.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Okay.
Speaking of no breasts, Bray Bella's in this. That's how you tell them apart, right? That's how I do.
That's a way.
Yes,
that is. And as we saw in one episode of Raw, she really had. Well, never mind.
Oh, yes. I remember that being queued up.
Yes, and I still have that saved on my DVR. Thank you very much. I use that for my pick-me-up.
Oh,
Actually, I'm going to do a screenshot of that and use it as my desktop on my computer.
It could be our Twitter picture.
A Twitter picture? A Twitter? Check out these pair of Twitters. Okay, back to Natalia and AJ. Let me go ahead and give you my prediction on this first, because it really pains me to say this, but it's going to be Natalia taking it away from AJ.
I agree.
And that hurts me to say that. You don't know how much that pains me.
No, it shouldn't, because it should actually make you glad. Natalia has worked her butt off.
Oh, no question.
And she deserves a little bit of a title shot.
No question. I will not debate that at all. She is probably, I was going to say in the Divas category, but actually all the way across the board, she's got to be one of the hardest working people in the WWE.
Yeah.
And probably one of the most underrated and overlooked.
And especially, Totally Divas has really analyzed that a lot, because you're able to watch that show and really understand how much Natalia kind of puts up with.
Yeah, and don't forget, folks, don't sell that show short on the E Network. The Totally Divas program, yes, it is a reality show. Yes, they get into the who kissed who stories and stuff like that. But they show a very realistic side of the business end of professional wrestling, of when it comes to injuries, when it comes to backstage politics, backstabbing, the whole 9 yards. I've been there, done that, saw that. This show is the real deal. So don't sell that short. Just don't stick around for the Kardashians after this. Just
oh, gross.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Rob Van Dam going up against Alberto the River.
So are you going to take Ricardo Rodriguez's place there as his ring announcer?
I ought to.
You should.
I ought to. I'm better looking than you.
So you can be the cowbell guy and the announcer for Alberto Del Rio.
The cowbell guy and the announcer.
That works.
That sounds like a good plan to me. On this one, who do you pick?
I'm going to say Alberto Del Rio.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I give my prediction?
Yeah.
Ricardo Rodriguez is going to turn on RVD.
No.
And go back to Alberto Del Rio. And this will all
I have to tell you, that would be a jaw on the floor moment.
Exactly.
I have to agree with you on that.
And that's why WBE needs to accept my application.
They do need to accept that indeed. I put me down as a preference.
Absolutely.
A reference.
Absolutely. Reference/hire.
I like that. I do like the idea of the storyline. I don't see it happening. I really don't. And I'm not saying that to be argumentative, but I think that's a great idea. I think that's the greatest idea since the one I had with Hornswoggle teaming up with Stacy Keibler to become a Keibler Elf. No, I love that. I love that idea, but I just don't see it happening. I think we're going to see Rob Van Dam coming out on top only because he needs the push. They haven't been pushing him. They've got to do something with him. They spent a ton of money to get him.
Well, yeah, good point. It's a very good point, but I'm glad to see that you're going to be wrong.
We'll see. We'll see. Should we play? Should we do a?
No, we're not going to go down memory road here. Okay, we're going to look towards the future.
I was just going to point out the record here on.
We're going to look towards Sunday.
Okay,
and then next week we're going to look at the record. Then,
so we'll have to wait until after tomorrow night, after the pay-per-view is over.
Absolutely.
If you're listening to this on Saturday, it'd be tomorrow night. If you're listening to it on Sunday, it'd be tonight. And if you're listening to it on Monday, where the hell have you been?
Listen to it sooner.
Okay. Paul Heyman, Curtis Axel, CM Punk.
What do you see here?
I'm going to have to go with CM Punk just to be consistent with my past opinions. However, it's going to be a hard-fought victory, because there's no way in the world that Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel are going to be out there without the Beast making an appearance.
I agree.
But I do think in the end result will be CM Punk.
Or, I just had like an epiphany.
Uh-oh. Did you use a napkin?
I'll clean it up later.
Okay.
Someone else will join Team Heyman.
Someone else will join Team Heyman.
I say CM Punk's going to win, but we're going to see a new person join Team Heyman.
Do you have a particular person in mind?
No.
Oh.
I wish I did.
Okay.
But
that's a firework that goes off without a lot of spark.
I know. I can't think of her. I'm going to throw it out there. Biggie Langston.
Oh, now that would be interesting.
I'm going to throw Big E out there.
Hey, speaking of the big guys, can I interrupt your train of thought for a minute?
Go ahead.
What the hell happened between Big Show and the world's strongest athlete?
Mark Henry?
Mark Henry, yeah, because wasn't there at least talks about having those two team up together?
Well, what happened was Mark Henry got injured on the house show.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that injury.
Yeah. He got injured on the house show, which kind of put the plans on all of that. So they had to do some really quick rewriting. From what I've gained...
Buy a new box of crayons so they can write something else?
Exactly.
Okay.
On their dry erase board. Mark Henry is cleared to come back now. So it'd be interesting to see if they're going to throw him in the fold here in Night of Champions somehow. But that's the reason that was kind of cut short, because Mark Henry was injured in a house show, so he had to take a couple weeks off.
Well, I hope they revisit that idea, because I think that would be one of the most phenomenal things since the Body Slam.
Well, and it brings us to our next point.
Okay.
Which is the main event.
Oh, Mr. Bryan and Randy Orton. By the way, you never did tell me your prediction on CM Punk, Axel.
Well, CM Punk's going to win.
Okay, so you and I agree on that.
Yeah, we agree on that, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that someone's going to join Team Heyman and kind of stop Punk from getting his hands on Heyman.
Okay.
And so that's why I say that. If it's Big E Langston, then I'm a genius. And then we know WWE's listening to this show.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice little Easter egg there. Okay. Let's go on to the main event. Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. I've pretty much given my opinion on that. I think my initial opinion is I think it's going to be reversed, but I do see Daniel Bryan winning. I don't know how they could possibly not have Daniel Bryan win without having a riot occur in the arena.
You want my prediction?
Please.
Big Show gets involved and punches Daniel Bryan and joins the corporation.
That would be heartbreaking.
Exactly.
Well, now your earlier idea of what's his doofus rejoining Alberto Del Rio had the jaw on the floor effect.
Ricardo Rodriguez, yeah.
Ricardo Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Had the jaw on the floor effect, which is a great effect to have for a wrestling storyline.
Yeah.
Having a heartbreaking storyline, I don't know if that would be such a good idea. I mean, heartbreaking, the jaw on the floor, that's great. That keeps an attention. Heartbreaking means I'm going to watch something else next Monday night.
I don't. Okay. Well, let me bring this up.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan on a pay-per-view turned his back on WCW and dropped the leg drop on Randy Savage.
Well, no, that's true.
The one thing I did is I made sure I turned into Monday night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a valid point. I cannot argue with that logic. It's just for me that wow, especially with the apparent wrestling, if you'll forgive use of the word, that Big Show has been doing with himself. At least according to the storyline, he's been torturing himself over, if he's doing the right thing.
Right.
Even had Booker T in the locker room with him, trying to give him pep talks and saying, dude, you go out there and take care of business, do the right thing.
Exactly.
You know what to do.
Exactly. Do the right thing, and he's going to join the corporation.
But what does that say about Booker T? Is Booker T a part of the corporation? As far as the storyline is concerned,
he's not a wrestler very much anymore.
Not that he ever. Well, I don't want to say that too loud because he's still tougher than me.
And he was a damn good wrestler. I don't care what you say.
No, he was a good wrestler.
Right.
He was a great wrestler. I just didn't care much for him as an entertainer.
Oh, okay.
That's all. No, great wrestler. I loved watching him wrestle. He did a good show there, but whenever he tried to.
The King Booker thing I wasn't a fan of, but.
No, I thought that was just demeaning. And not in a good way. I found that terribly insulting.
I agree.
But okay, so our predictions. See, my prediction for the primetime players, Real Americans, Usos, and Tons of Fun. We both agree on that one. That primetime players is going to do it, right?
So, but do you think they're going to beat the Shield?
Yes, I hope so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then we do agree that they're going to walk out as the champions.
Okay, Natalya versus AJ. We both agreed on Natalya.
Yes.
Okay, there's not going to be much condescension on this
Not
one.
a lot.
Okay. Well, now here we differed. I'm saying there's no way Rob Van Dam cannot lose.
And I say there's no way Alberto Del Rio doesn't lose.
Okay, and I'm writing these down as we go. You can probably hear me clacking in the background. Okay, I'm with Rob Van Dam, and Chip is with Mr. Alberto. Say his name and roll the R's. Let's hear you roll the R's.
I can't roll the R's.
Okay. We both agreed on CM Punk, didn't we?
Yes, but I'm willing to put the stipulation that someone joins Team Heyman.
Okay, Chip says someone will join Heyman.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay. So you have to have both of those right in order for yours to be correct.
I'll take that point.
Okay, and we're both agreed on Daniel Bryan.
No. I say Randy Orton.
You're going to say Randy
Someone's
Orton's
going to cost Bryan the title.
But if it happens in the way that you're saying, Daniel Bryan will have to win by disqualification.
I still don't see it that way. I think maybe the referee gets knocked out or gets distracted somehow, and Randy Orton actually pins Daniel Bryan.
Well, it will be interesting to see what happens, but you and I only disagreed on 2 of those 5 matches.
And both of them are WBE and World Heavyweight, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the only 2 you and I disagreed with. So conceivably, you might be able to redeem yourself after the last pay-per-view.
Of course I am.
Well, you better. I mean, who am I to give advice? But my goodness, you really stink up the joint on those last set of predictions. one of us is following the other, and I certainly hope it's not me.
Well, maybe I'm the Reddit, and WBE listens to this show and goes, "We can't do what that guy does."
The Reddit edit?
Yeah. I'm the...
This could be the Reddit edit. You never know. You might be the Reddit because you couldn't even tell me if you were.
Exactly.
Seriously, where do you think Reddit is coming from? What part of the country? I think that mail will sound trivial, but I think that plays a very important point here.
I don't know where it comes from.
It's got to be Connecticut.
Yeah.
It has to be Connecticut.
Everything from what I've heard is it's a friend of or a family member of someone in production. Someone that's in the production truck, maybe someone that cues the music.
Oh, wait a minute.
Or something like that.
Wait a minute. We have totally left somebody out of the focus here.
Who?
The Harts.
What about the Harts?
Look, what one family would have a big beef against the McMahons? Be the Harts. About who?
Why?
Are you kidding with the Montreal Screwjob?
But Bret Hart's kind of forgiven them.
Well, publicly, yeah. I mean, but that's still gotta hurt. That's still gotta sting. Well, what other family or group or person has a real beef against the WWE? I mean, I know that's a long list, but
the Gagnes should.
Who?
The Gagnes.
The Gagnes?
Yeah, AWA, Minnesota.
Oh.
Vern Gagne.
Oh.
He Vince McMahon when he did his expansion in the early 90s, kind of stole a lot of Vern's talent. Now, Vern has Alzheimer's, so he can't really do it, but his son very well could.
Well, the great thing with Vern is every night is opening night.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Oh, gosh.
Because believe it or not, Hulk Hogan was not a WBE superstar. He was an AWA superstar.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's why, because of his disorder, that's why Vern called it the AWA. That way he could never get the initials backwards. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Now, let's see. How many people hate me now?
Now, I want to bring up something.
Okay.
What was the original point of the pay-per-view Night of Champions?
What do you mean?
What was the original idea around the pay-per-view? Like what was the gimmick around it?
I don't recall. I don't see what you mean.
Like the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. What's the gimmick on that?
Well, the big cage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. What's the gimmicks on those?
A gauntlet type.
Yeah, the Survivor Series match and the Royal Rumble match.
Right.
So the original gimmick of Night of Champions was every title to be defended.
Yeah, every title. Okay.
What title's missing?
Intercontinental?
No.
No?
Well, technically,
it is,
yes.
Okay.
Technically, yes.
Which one? Which one are you thinking of?
The U.S. title.
I've forgotten all about that.
Dean Ambrose.
They do all, okay, where the heck is he?
I don't know.
Well, now wait a minute. He's okay. Now the Shield is not scheduled to be in Night of Champions, are they?
Well, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are, because they're going to defend their tag team titles against the winner of that tag team gauntlet match. But Dean Ambrose is nowhere to be found on the card.
That's interesting.
And why not?
I really hadn't thought about that.
Exactly. That's the reason I'm here.
Maybe he's playing pinochle with Kane in the Wyatt's barn.
Ooh.
Wow, that almost drives me to become a conspiracy theorist.
I mean,
what do you think? Are we talking politics here, or are we talking storyline?
I'm thinking politics.
That is...
I don't think there's storyline to this because of the fact that Dean Ambrose is one hell of a performer.
That is an intriguing thought.
Because I don't see why you wouldn't put that individual on the pay-per-view, especially after the SummerSlam pre-show where he defended the title against RVD and put on a very good performance against RVD. So why on earth do you not put him on the pay-per-view? Especially on a pay-per-view that's gimmicked around Night of Champions. He is a champion. Why don't you showcase him?
That is an interesting theory. Now, if it is turning out to be a case of politics, is he being punished or is he being rewarded?
Punished.
For?
Well, that's where the conspiracy comes in.
Because, you see, I thought he was the golden boy all of a sudden.
And he was supposed to be. I mean, every member of the Shield was supposed to be. But as you can kind of tell, they've kind of hit a brick wall.
Well, thanks to WWE Creative, they have them doing the same damn thing week after week.
Exactly. So why haven't they had them progress over and over and over?
Man, now you're going to keep me awake tonight. I'm going to worry about that all night long. I hadn't even considered that.
So I'm just pointing out the obvious. Because when I was going down the format sheet and I was looking at WWE.com and I'm looking at all the matches and all their predictions, because WWE has like their own predictions on there. That's the one thing that jumped out to me is Dean Ambrose with that U.S. title not being defended.
Well, I don't think this is going to be a case where the Night of Champions is going to happen and you don't see Dean Ambrose.
Oh, I think we'll see him.
Yeah.
Because obviously with the Shield. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't even think we're going to see him. Because I still firmly believe that it's the primetime players' night. WWE's going to capitalize on all this publicity with Darren Young. So they're going to have them go over on Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns without Dean Ambrose interfering. So I don't even think he's even going to be seen.
Interesting. Well, it'll be even more interesting to see how we turn out to handle in our predictions. And if it turns out that I am ahead on the predictions, do I win something?
I don't know. Is there any prizes in the WBWar.com?
I'll give myself a copy of my book. That's it. I'll give
what would you like?
I'll autograph a copy of my book to myself.
There you go. Or I can autograph it for you. I had nothing to do with it.
I want to spend at least a couple of minutes here talking about Raw.
Okay.
There was a person who came back on Raw, and
oh yeah.
I'm a big time fan of this guy, and I'm wondering where the hell has Morella been? Santino Morella. Yeah. Where has he been? I'm so happy to see him back.
Well, he was injured.
Was he injured?
He was injured, so this was his return.
Well, I'm sorry to hear he was injured. I'm glad, as you can tell, I'm really up on things. But man, I really missed him. I wish I would get rid of that stupid Cobra sock, but I think he's one of the best performers that WWE has or has had in quite a while.
Well, now, of course, you say return, but we also saw returns of two other superstars. Not only did we see Santana Marella come back, but we saw Edge.
Yes, not as a wrestler, but
he showed up.
Came back, yes.
And Goldust. Dustin Rhodes.
And he came. Now, that match surprised me between Goldust and Randy Orton. I thought for sure Goldust, they were going to have him go over.
And, and we could see that come back to us at Night of Champions.
Do you think
Could we see Cody Rhodes costing Daniel Bryan the title to get his job back?
That's possible. That's possible. I was also wondering about the possibility of seeing a cameo by Daddy.
I read a rumor that he's not going to be anywhere involved in the storylines. Of course, that means it could be true.
I would have a hard time thinking that he would want to. I mean, what does he have to prove? I mean,
He has nothing to prove.
Yeah.
He's kind of happy. He's fat and happy down in Orlando.
Definitely fat.
Working with the NXT newcomers coming up. But they very well could. He's easily accessible.
Yes.
He's still under contract with WBE. They very well could bring him up anytime they want and use him in the storyline.
You think his personality would allow him to be donned in polka dots?
No way. No way he wore polka dots again.
How did you feel about Edge's appearance? To tell you the truth, I was a little disappointed.
Last week I predicted that they were going to include him in the Triple H Daniel Bryan storyline somehow.
Yeah. Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Kind of, sort of. I thought that's how they were going to do it, and that's what they ended up doing. It was kind of played out how I actually thought it would be played out, and that's where Edge is kind of like an afterthought. Let's let him come out. Let's let him have a big pop. Let him say a couple words, and then have him leave.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess the one thing that really disappointed me about Edge's appearance on this was the way he was just unceremoniously escorted from the building. I mean, that just seemed to be a cheap shot, even by their current standards.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that Lita wasn't out there underneath the bed naked.
I was never a big Lita fan.
Oh. Okay.
I don't like tattoos.
Oh, well, there's something wrong with you.
I don't like tattoos. I mean, Lita's a pretty girl, but when she was getting all that ink done, was there ever a bit of the conversation where anybody ever said, yeah, that's going to look good on you? Is that even part of the thought process at all?
Could have been. I don't know.
And gosh, that's got to be like having sex with Walt Disney.
What?
I mean, that's just. I have no idea.
Sex with Walt Disney?
That's the wonderful world of color right there. That'll get you feeling goofy.
So I think we can officially say Chris Plank ain't coming back on the show anymore.
Maybe not. After that. No, he has no tats. I don't think.
I don't know.
If he does, they're in places I'm not aware of. Nor would I want to be. I do miss the old days of being in the studio with Chris and the gang over at the Clear Channel Studios, and he and I worked together in not one but two different locations because I started back with them back in the year 2000. So gosh, wow, that was just a real trip down memory lane for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, I don't mean to get sidetracked on that, but since we did bring him back up, let's go back into professional sports for a little bit. Of all the things that we've ever talked about, one thing you and I have never brought up was the connection between professional wrestling and professional sports, mainstream sports.
Okay.
I'm going to name you some former superstars.
Okay.
And we're going to see if you can tell me what team they were known for playing.
I should be good at this.
All football.
Okay, all football. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going back in history on this one.
Oh, okay.
Wahoo McDaniels.
I know he was in the NFL.
Yes, he was. Ed Wahoo McDaniel, to be exact.
I'm going to say Detroit Lions.
No.
Chicago Bears?
No, you were closer the first time.
Oh.
In both cases, you were close because you got in the same continent.
Good thing.
No, it was the New York Jets.
New York Jets.
New York Jets.
That's right.
Okay. How about Harvey Martin, also known as Doomsday Defense, and he was with the WWE back in the 1980s.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. That one, I'll be honest, I had no clue on. The Wahoo McDaniel, I knew he was in the NFL.
Okay, now here's one going back some memory, and I know you'll recognize the wrestler.
Okay.
Ernie Ladd.
Ernie Ladd. Absolutely.
Yeah.
NFL?
NFL.
Oh, jeez. I didn't know he was in NFL.
Well, no, wait a minute. Back in this day, this might have been the AFL. I don't know.
Either way.
Pro football.
Kansas City Chiefs.
No, San Diego Chargers.
I was close, same division.
Incidentally, I was in the audience in Little Rock, Arkansas when Ernie Ladd had his final match.
Really?
I will never forget that. I was sitting ringside. A friend of mine and I went to the matches at the Little Rock Coliseum, and this would have been back in the early 1980s. And he just got fed up and walked out of the ring, and he never came back. Never came back. It was just, I don't know what brought that in my head, but I just distinctly remember seeing him just throw his hands up. I forget who he was wrestling. Branko Luvic was the referee.
Oh, okay.
And he just threw his hands up, walked out of the ring. There was no big controversy. He just went back in the dressing rooms, got dressed, and went home. End of story. No, I never did find out what happened. Okay, got a couple here. Steve Mongo McMichael. You ought to know this
Chicago
one.
Bears.
Yeah, I knew you'd get that one. This one you ought to get because you got a 1-in-3 shot. Goldberg.
Oh, Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, that's one.
St. Louis Rams or LA Rams.
LA Rams, that's two.
He played for 3 teams?
3 teams. Now, in all fairness, he was on the roster on this third team, but he never played a game.
Okay, I was like, I don't know what the third team is.
Carolina Panthers.
Okay, yes, I do remember that.
He was on the lineup, but never saw any field time. I argued with myself over whether to include this person. I know you'll know the team, but I'll be interested to see if you can even remember him showing up as a wrestler because it was so brief. And that was William the Refrigerator Perry.
Oh, yeah. It was WrestleMania.
Oh.
He was kind of like an escort bodyguard to Lawrence Taylor when he fought Bam Bam Bigelow at one of the WrestleManias. I can't remember what exact WrestleMania it was.
You are correct, sir. I forget which one it is too, but you are correct on the players there.
And of course, William Perry, Chicago Bears.
Absolutely correct. I always got the distinct impression they were trying to do a relive of the Mr. T moment, and it never gelled.
Oh yeah. It was very flat. Bam Bam Bigelow, to all credit, he did as good as he could against Lawrence Taylor.
Well, and too, William the Refrigerator Perry, great football player.
Right.
He was great on the gridiron. He definitely had some good stats, and that speaks a lot coming from somebody like me who doesn't have a clue about football.
Right.
But I do know that. I remember distinctly that, but he was not a wrestling performer.
No, not at all.
And it just didn't work. And that's a shame, but that's an absolute truth. Unlike Mongo McMichael, which took some warming up.
They were teammates though.
He did in fact come up, and he did good. He did good wrestling.
What fraction was he in?
What fraction?
Yeah.
1/4? Faction.
Well, you're actually right. You're actually right.
The Four Horsemen.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, one more pro wrestler. See if you can name the team.
Okay.
Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, New York Giants.
Oh, man. How the hell did you know that?
Wow. Yeah.
And so quickly.
One of the best defensive linemen or linebackers of all time. Of course I know that.
Man, LT.
Yeah, LT.
Is that what he went by in the ring, if I'm trying to remember?
Yes.
Was it just simply LT?
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, that's when he fought Bam Bam Bigelow.
LT stands for Lipton Tea.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Bam Bam Bigelow, he was one of my favorites of all time. The guy was great, but he had a mouth.
Oh, absolutely.
And not to mention the vocabulary to go with it.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
No, I wish I had have.
Okay.
He's one guy, in spite of the tattoos, he's one guy I would have loved to have really met.
And what's sad is, we got to see him in WWE, we got to see him in WCW, but what a lot of people kind of miss is his time in ECW. He did some great matches in ECW, especially against Taz, believe it or not.
Really?
The former commentary wrestler. They had some of the best matches you could be able to watch in professional wrestling.
Taz he's doing TNT now, isn't he?
TNA. Yeah, he's doing commentary for them. By the way, do you see JR going to TNA?
No. I absolutely do not. I don't see JR ever settling for a smaller promotion.
I heard a couple years ago that there was a deal on the table for him, but TNA backed out.
TNA backed out?
Yes.
TNA backed out?
They went a different direction.
They backed out?
Yes.
I can't. Wow. Now that's okay. TNA, you guys are idiots.
It shows why they're in the gutter now.
Yeah, that's TNA backed out in the deal. Man. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. Man, this has been a great hour.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Chris Plank for coming aboard That was just such an honor for me and for Chip as well. Next week, tune in to see how badly I wipe Chip all over the world with our predictions on the Night of Champions, or I don't know, maybe Chip.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to wipe the floor with you.
Okay. You never know.
On the 2 matches that we disagreed on.
You never know. Anything can happen. But, no, actually only one match we disagreed on because the other one, you've got to get 2 points here. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Stick around for more next week right here on Squared Circle Insider Wrestling.